trying to be attractive to somebody so they like you versus just showing up as you. If I've got a shitty trait that someone doesn't like, then they might not want that. If I have that shitty trait, I either change it because I want to change it, or I'm hiding that trait so I match their needs and narrative. Showing up as you, letting them say, I love these parts about you, but I don't love this part about you. Giving you the opportunity to change that, give them the opportunity to take you exactly how you are, because otherwise you're trying to sell somebody something that's not interested in buying it.
Really important to have a toolkit, because when I get into a state of overwhelm, I'm asking my brain, I'm like, brain, tell me what to do. I don't want to feel like this. My brain's like, nah, I'm not playing ball. You just do you, carry on feeling like shit. I now have a list of things that I can literally refer to when my brain isn't working and I need to just go to the next best feeling thought.
Through my dating journey, I've always seen the next person that I come into contact with as somebody more aligned than me than the one before. Not that anyone's better or worse, just more aligned. And through doing this, I've realized that as I'm getting older, there's always somebody more aligned, which means, am I going to go through my whole life essentially never having anybody because I'm waiting for this more aligned person?
Life is a trip. You don't know at any given moment in life when it's gonna throw you a curveball. And you know, I've had a really difficult few years, so mine's just felt like curveball after curveball after curveball. And I know that it's because it's part of my growing on this planet. I need to learn these lessons. I'm here to learn these lessons.
So as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that there is possibly no such thing as the one. And growing up, you think about the one being the perfect person that you're with forever. And through my dating journey, I've always seen the next person that I come into contact with as somebody more aligned than me than the one before. Not that anyone's better or worse, just more aligned. And through doing this, I've realized that as I'm getting older, there's always somebody more aligned, which means, am I going to go through my whole life essentially never having anybody because I'm waiting for this more aligned person? And I call it, imagine going out to the shop and finding the most amazing £600 Gucci bag, but you don't buy it because there might be another one that's better. And so you wait a few weeks and months pass by, and then you go out again and you find another bag and you're like, oh, it's perfect. And you go, no, I'm not going to buy it because I think there's another one better. And you go your whole life thinking that there's another Gucci bag better. And the conclusion I've worked out lately is that there's always somebody more aligned, but you need to have your most important variables that you want in somebody, such as the main 7. Someone who loves walking in nature, someone who loves eating, someone who loves, say, watching football together, someone who loves gardening. If the 7 things that are most important to you is important to them, it doesn't matter about anything else, whether or not they like the gym or whether or not they like the same TV programs as you, because no one is going to be exactly the same in every department and every variable that you are. So knowing that, you choose somebody as your person, acknowledging that you're not exactly the same as me, you're not perfect, but I'm choosing the best traits of you because that's what I want in a partner. And I accept that you're not going to be matching me in all these other departments, and that is okay. And then once you accept that, you tolerate the things that you don't like about them, rather than thinking, oh, I wish I could just be with someone else who is more aligned in this department. Because the reality is that no one is completely aligned in every department. So choose the ones that are most important to you and love them and accept them.
Essentially, I agreed with everything you said. I just took issue with one thing, and I wonder if you meant something other than how it came out. And what I think you may have meant, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, is that you said there'll always be someone more aligned. So do you just keep shopping until you like just die, essentially? I feel like what maybe you were trying to say is there's always going to be someone that's more aligned in some areas of your life. You're not going to get, like you were saying, you're not going to get the alignment across the board with everything. I don't think you meant that there's always going to be someone more aligned with you. But is that what you meant? Because I don't agree.
For example, imagine that the last person I dated had 40 things that are important, right? And then the next person had 42, and then the next person had 44. It just so happens that the universe always brings somebody with more variables, because that's what I'm asking for. Because I'm hoping that at some point it will stop and there's going to be somebody who has 100 variables out of my 100 variables. And I'm like, there probably will be that person on the planet somewhere, but you don't know when that will happen. And you could go your whole life looking and never buying the damn Gucci bag.
Okay. So I think you did say what I thought you said. I don't know. I don't know if I agree. I feel like the universe stops at a certain point because they think you've got enough, and so it's like, buy the damn bag. And I think you would know. And if you don't know, and if you're still shopping around, then it isn't the right bag. I don't believe in the one. I don't believe like there's one soulmate, one person, one human out there, or alien, depending on what you believe, out there for any one person. I think that I agree in terms of alignment and time. Time and place is very, very important also. But yeah, I don't subscribe to the whole, there's one person for you. So I think that what you just do is you keep going, you keep learning your lessons, you level up. Every relationship teaches you more about yourself, your wants, your needs, your desires, what you absolutely don't want, what's so important to you, what makes you tick, what are the non-negotiables, what are the things that you might be a little bit like, man, you know what, I might be all right if that's not there. And I think that's where you're at, Oliver. I think you're there. I think you're just, if you're still shopping around, you've not found your bag. But the bag is there. And like you said, it might be 6 months' time, might be 10 years' time, but you will find the bag that you want to just have on your arm the whole time. Until maybe that fucks up, for want of a better word. And then there might be another bag, like, because you just don't know. Your bag is the bag until you choose it to not be your bag. Or they choose not to be your bag. This metaphor's got a little bit.
No, it's a perfect analogy. So yeah, what you're saying is that you will keep shopping until that bag feels right. And I think the point is that that's a conscious choice, whether or not you suddenly become aware in the Gucci shop on the 19th bag that, okay, I've looked at 18, I've realized that there's always going to be another bag. I'm just going to take this one, really enjoy this one, wear this bag out everywhere with me, and love this bag. It's a conscious choice. So even though there is always going to be another bag, it's that at that point where you realize that then you choose your bag. And as you're saying, at that point, when you've come to that decision, you probably will have learned all your lessons through previous people you've dated to get to that decision of, I'm ready to take this bag. But more importantly, they will probably be the most aligned to you in this point, because you've only come to that point through all these decisions. So you're absolutely right. You're right.
Yeah, I think that the issue is that quite often we put so much pressure on this stuff. And if we're just going with the flow a little bit more, but from a place of awareness and understanding, behind any given feeling or emotion or decision that you make, what's the intention behind it? Where's that come from? If you've got that level of awareness, then I think shopping around for a bag is an okay hobby to have, and you will be empowered enough to make the right decision for yourself at that given moment in time. You can't put the pressure on yourself to be saying, this is my decision for life, this is my bag for life. I think that's where we all go wrong. It's got to fit with you for now. And, for the foreseeable, and you see it fitting for the foreseeable. But this whole, till death do us part stuff is just a whole bunch of bollocks. I love it. I want that so badly. That would be great. But I'm not going to go into something, or I might, and then I'd have to check myself. I don't want to go into something being like, this is my person. It puts so much pressure on it.
Yeah, it's like that bag at some point in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years could suddenly just get a hole in it, and then it gets ruined, and then the bag no longer serves its purpose, and then you bin it and you get another one. So what you're saying is that you go into something, not that it's going to last forever, but you are going to make the most of this bag at every given moment until further notice. Meaning
And
you
it
don't know
could
what's
be
going to happen
forever.
down the line,
Yeah,
and then you'll worry about it then, which could be forever, but it also could be 3 months.
that's
And
right.
this thing about having something forever scraps you of truly just being present and enjoying the present moment, whether it's with one bag or two or none, because you're holding onto this bag thinking that I'm not going to have another bag if I don't have this bag, or this bag's so important that I can't lose it, that you're just going to put so much pressure on yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Basically, no pressure. Try as hard as possible to not put the pressure on yourself, because you can mess up whatever you're going to have with that bag. But if it's meant to be, it's gonna be. So if you're still shopping and if the bag doesn't feel right, it might be the right bag for you in 5 years' time, but it's definitely not the right bag for you now. So just going with the flow with it all also helps. Just getting out of your head a little bit, I think.
And also, we as humans, I think, try to control everything. So we feel like we have control rather than trusting in the process of flow and being present. For example, trying to be attractive to somebody so they like you versus just
Mm,
showing up as you, knowing that they know what they're looking for. You don't have to do anything, the same as you know what you're looking for. They don't have to do anything. You will rule
yeah.
somebody out the same as you will want to get to know somebody based on them. Now, if there's a
Mm,
shitty trait of theirs that you don't like, then you could say that that will be a reason why you will want to get to know somebody. So, and if you flip it on the opposite, if I've got a shitty trait that someone doesn't like, then they might not want that. So, if I have that shitty trait, I either change it because I want to change it, or I'm hiding that trait so I match their needs and narrative. And as
oh,
a
that's
result, you get to
dangerous
know them
territory.
better. You get to know them better. And then when you think you've got them, then that trait comes out and it's like, hey, I didn't want that fucking trait. That was variable 14. I don't want somebody who doesn't listen and argues when I say something, have you done something wrong? I didn't want that, but you hid that. So showing up as you, letting them say, I love these parts about you, but I don't love this part about you, giving you the opportunity to change that if you so feel that's going to benefit you as a person, and as a result will be more attractive to the person, but not hiding it or trying to be the person that they want. Give them the opportunity to take you exactly how you are, because otherwise you're trying to sell somebody something that's not interested in buying it. And I would rather buy something that I want, not that I'm sold. I would rather somebody take me as me than me be all gentlemanly and take you on holiday and buy you flowers and cook you dinner. Because yeah, I might get you for that period of time, but I'm not going to cook dinner every damn day. I'm not going to go on holiday every single day. That's not realistic. That's gentleman crap to get them in. Are we such a gentleman? And then you become who you are by yourself. And no one's doing that all the time. And I think that today we're trying to sell ourselves to each other rather than showing up as the best version of ourselves and letting them choose, am I enough for you? And if I'm not, great. But if half of me is and the half of me isn't, tell me why. Tell me what's wrong. And if I feel that's a shitty trait that I want to change for me as a person, not for you or anybody else, I will change it. And then we may become more aligned.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like most of the world still probably do that on a macro level, where there's like the big lies and the big things that they're hiding and the really scary, insidious sort of ways in which people try and win people over, and then bam, this is actually the real me and you're stuck. I feel like the more aligned you become with the highest version of yourself and what you actually want in life, it becomes a non-negotiable for you to just be yourself at all times. But I still think that no matter how far you go on that journey, there will still be the micro versions of that happening where you'll be like, oh, I don't, I don't want to piss them off. I'll keep that one to myself. Just roll over, just leave it for another day. But the thing is, if you know yourself and you know those will eventually build up, and then you're going to have a volcano moment. Have the awareness, know that you want to do something differently this time. So I think for me, and maybe someone like yourself as well, that strikes me as someone that's done a lot of learning, had a fair few life experiences, and knows now that you want to do things slightly differently to how you may have done them in the past, or younger version of you may have tackled things, we are always going to show up as ourselves. But there will be a honeymoon period, which you're not even trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes. You just are happier, you're more excitable, you're more fun, because you found this new novel thing and it's lovely and you feel good, and it's all the oxytocin, it's all the lovely beautiful hormones coursing through your body. And that's what the honeymoon period is. We've all had that with someone, at least one person in our life, probably. We know what that feels like. So I think in those moments, if you're still being yourself and you're not trying to hoodwink someone into thinking you're this 180 version of yourself, I think that's acceptable. I think everyone knows honeymoon period people, it's not going to be like that forever. But I think there's just got to be the conversations. There's got to be the moment something comes up, deal with it. The moment something comes up again, deal with that. Communication's key. We all know that, but it's so easy, especially for someone like myself. I'm an empath. I believe you are as well. I think we had this conversation before. And sometimes we care so much about what other people think that we put our needs really far down on the list. And that feels like a really selfless thing to do, but it's actually massively selfish, because ultimately you're messing everything up for everyone in the long term. It doesn't work. It's not a good working model. There is definitely always some payback from that. So the whole, like, I'm an empath, I'm a really good person, I care about what everyone thinks, and I'm always going to just be the, I'm going to shrink myself and I'm going to be the person that, I'm going to roll over every time. Yeah, if that's the narrative you want to tell yourself, but in reality, we all know eventually it comes to a head in some way or another. I think I've gone completely off track. We both have ADHD, so I don't know how you manage to do podcasts and keep things. I'm moving from pillar to post here. I don't even remember what we were talking about, to be honest. I went on to an empath.
So I'll tell you what you're getting at. So in the beginning, when I set the podcast, I used to just go 100 miles an hour, and it was like 400 topics in one sentence. And then I learned to close off a sentence before I start the next. So what you're saying is that, yes, we should be selfless and give to others, but actually we're robbing them the opportunity of them
growing,
having that experience themselves. And as a result of us always putting everyone else first, we're essentially emptying our cup into other people's cups, and slowly our cup is being drained and emptied, where we're eventually going to have to top our own cup up. And so we're robbing ourselves also of constantly doing our own work. And this is all about showing up as you, the best version of you at all times, and you will naturally attract the other person who is also the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And that trying to adapt to the other person is essentially giving them some of your cup, so you kind of match theirs. But when you take away yourself, their cup goes right back down, and your cup has actually gone down because you've given something to them. So you drained yourself, and they will also drain their cup once you leave. So there's only one solution here, which is keep working on yourself, and hopefully they will also too. And as I'm getting older, all I've done is work on myself. Every flaw, every problem, every annoyance that anyone's ever said that I can see as a negative trait, I then consciously chose to fix it, to the point where I'd like to say I am an all-round, not 100%, but perfect human being, based on what makes a human being as perfect as possible, becoming aware of a negative and fixing it. And if you keep doing that, there will be less things that people can judge, critique about you, right? Not that anyone's perfect. So I'm thinking, I've got a lot of energy, all my traits, right? Do I hide those traits and act normal? So then I enter the board of more people seeing me as normal. Like, I turn up in pink Crocs with all this jewelry on. My hair's like it is. I wear a pink dry robe. I wear hippie trousers and then a Ralph Lauren t-shirt. I've got a van with pink seats and pink alloys. Am I doing myself any justice?
I didn't realise you souped it up.
Yeah, I've got a camper van now.
But bought the van.
I bought the van in 3 days. I just looking online and it came up. I wasn't planning on it, but I put up to the universe, I want an electric camper van. And then it came up. Within 3 days, I had it. because I realized that this is meant for me. Anyway, so do you dumb yourself down, not lie to them, meaning hide a negative trait, but lower your traits,
Eunice. Yeah.
good or bad traits, right? Of having pink alloys and a pink dry robe and pink Crocs, right? Do you lower this so you actually become more aligned and attractive to the average person, meaning you've got more of an opportunity to find somebody, or you stay as you are? Because eventually you're going to want to wear pink Crocs out to a restaurant and they're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing with those? Get those off. I'm like, no, this is me. She's like, no, it's not you. When have you ever worn Crocs? Oh, well, I actually dimmed myself so I'd have more opportunity to find somebody, because the more I evolve, the more perfect I become, the more high conscious I become. I just become so out of sync with the average normal person that the only people left on the planet to date are Monk, Buddha, Jesus, and fucking Tony Robbins. And, you know, they're taken. So I'm left by myself. And so that's the problem that I'm becoming aware of, is that most people aren't doing all the work. So
do you really believe that? Do you really believe that your pool is so narrow that it's becoming so difficult for you to find a person? Because I feel like if you're living in your truth, if you're as aligned as you possibly can be, and you are putting in the work, compared to the version of you that wasn't, say, you know, even you can change yourself in an instant, in any moment. Let's just say the week before you were not that person. This week you are. Last week you were on all the apps. You're out there, nights out, looking for someone, literally desperately just trying to search and find something to make you feel validated and fill the void that you're currently feeling because you're not able to fill it yourself. Yeah. In those moments, you'll either meet the people that are so not going to serve you, or you're not going to meet anyone at all. But you'll be literally spreading yourself thin, like you'll be looking everywhere. So anyone would think your pool's really wide. You're going to find someone in that time. Then you fast forward the next week and you're like, I've got my pink Crocs back on. This is me. Like I'm doing me. I'm loving myself. I'm filling my own damn cup. And whoever's out there for me is going to come and fucking crash into me. That's how the universe works. It won't be like it's literally like they could be on the opposite end of the world, but somehow you will find a way within. It can happen instantly. And that's my belief. That's why you don't go out looking. That's why you don't think about the pool being smaller, because there's just so many humans out there. And the synchronicities and the miracles that we experience in this world have already probably, and I know you speak of the camper van situation, that that was the story that you told me when we first ever met. And so I know about the miracles and synchronicities of this universe. And I just believe that transcends everything. It transcends your dating life. It transcends your work life. Any issue you are having, if you are able to overcome the default setting that is often very unhealthy that your brain takes you to, and put in the tools, put in the work, reach for the things that when you're not at your best self, these things help you get back there. The universe starts working again and showing you all the miracles. My belief, anyway.
So it's because, so I've had these realizations recently that before, when I was seeking and looking, I wanted it more, and I never found the perfect person, the one, right? And I would always also date until the one came along. And I'm talking way back when I was 13. I've been seeking the one, or even just the girlfriend, right, since I was 13. Then I'm 14, then I'm 15, then I'm 16. I'm 31. So whenever I had that one, right? So I've realized, okay, so what's the issue? Is it that you want it so bad? What does that mean? It means you're not whole and you're seeking someone to complete you. So go in. And that's when the whole journey of going in started, right? So as you get more wholer and you're doing more of the work, then you're like, okay, well, kind of whole now, I can date. And then you realize when you see that person, fuck, I've got some other things I need to sort out. Okay. So you fix it onto the next, fix it onto the next. And eventually, and I like to say that I'm at this situation now, that through trial and error of past people that have taught me so many amazing lessons, even the ones that I wouldn't want to do again, they were the biggest lessons. So as a general perspective of life lessons, essentially, it's required of me to do this for 30 years before I find somebody, because there's no other reason why someone who you could say has everything going for themselves compared to the average person that doesn't. Why is it so hard? Surely it's like there's a block of gold. Someone's going to grab it. And it's like, why is no one grabbing the gold? And it's because nobody knows what to do with the gold, right? And that translates to not enough people are doing the work constantly and actually growing. So you've got people that don't do the work, have no idea what work is. Then you've got people that do the work, but they take a long time trying to fix one problem and they're not ready yet. They're not ready. They're not ready. I need me time. Still working on myself. Okay, great. So the next pool is people that have an issue, fix it, move on, and want to get to where they want to be. So is that pool so slim that it doesn't exist? Is it out there? And my job is just to simply continue doing me. And as you say, someone across the world will see a guy with pink Crocs and be like, fucking hell, always wanted a guy with pink Crocs. And I won't have to do anything. Is the lesson
I believe that.
Show up as yourself regardless.
100%. I don't believe in this tiny pool idea. It goes against everything that the universe has ever shown me. When I'm ready to receive, things materialize out of literally nowhere. It could be a job that I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. And it happens because I finally started doing the work. And I think, personally, I think you're not there yet. You're not where you think you're further along than you actually are, because otherwise it would be there. And I know that sounds horrible because you have been doing the work. I can tell. I know you've been doing the work. But some of us have, we're not going to go too woo-woo today, I don't think. But some of us have come here as starseeds, right? Potentially. There are much deeper lessons that we have to learn than, say, the average Joe blogs. We're having to go and rewire our entire being in this human experience to really get back to the love. So when you're seeing these, like, childhood sweethearts, they met at 16, they're still happily married, and it's a genuine happy. It's not like keeping up appearances rubbish, and you're like how come them and not me? Like, what's going on? I'm that block of gold. What is going on? Why? And I think it's just because we have a different set of criteria in terms of the work we are here to do, and what is going to come from that, or that person, as and when they materialize, is going to be beyond our wildest dreams. We can't even fathom what that person's going to be because we're thinking too small. We're still not there. And also the fact that we're focusing and we're still looking, or like, I'm ready, why is it not here yet? Like, the lack mentality never helps. It's got to be abundance. It's got to be keep filling up your own damn cup. Everything else will fall into place. But I chat a lot of rubbish because essentially I'm my own biggest hypocrite. There's a lot of stuff I know that I know I'm not always doing. But then, and then I feel like a fraud talking about it to my friends and whatever. And, I'm like, I'm telling them the thing that I know I'm not doing. But then I'm like, look, I just need you to tell me the same thing back in like 2 weeks' time, because we lose sight of what we're here to do and what it all really is. And it's literally just one big giant growth journey. And we all came, I believe, we all came here knowing what lessons we're going to learn, what traumas we're going to go through, what kind of fucked up shit our parents are going to do to us. We came here and chose that because we knew what lessons we needed for our soul to elevate and level up to the next stage. And so we just got to keep focusing on that, and everything will fall into place. The miracles will, I don't know, they will come into your life, as they always do, when the time is right.
So connecting that to my current thoughts at the moment, when I go back and join everything together, you realize it's perfectly aligned, as if energy just gets bigger in mass, and you can measure that mass with a frequency, right? It's all measured. So I don't personally believe that, we choose our parents and we sign a contract and all that stuff. But if you translate that to the energy of the two people when they give birth to you will match the energy of the baby at that time, right? So now if those parents are big energy, that's a vibrating sperm and a vibrating ovary, right? Or egg. That means that baby is going to be vibrating very hard. And if the other parents have kids and they're not vibrating very hard, then that person's going to have so much energy that in a box of whatever the vibrating term's called, hemoglobin, whatever it's called, right, particle, whatever, you've got this really high vibrating thing over here, right, that baby, and all the other vibrations are just normal, vibrating and small. So now that energy is going to go through life not fitting in with any of the normal vibrations, essentially trying to find its way to another high vibration. And what you're saying is that there is going to be other people out there also vibrating very highly, also thinking the same thing, that I'm this big energy from birth. No one else around me has ever had that same energy. I wonder if there's anyone else out there with the same high energy. And it's like they're also looking for what they are looking for. And if it comes up, they will grab it as quickly as you will grab them. Because essentially, if you're going to work, you both had the same situation, the same story, the same childhood. Oh, I'm different. No one else understands me. I think like this. You think like this. No one else does. I don't come across someone like you who's like me often. So when I find that person, fuck, I want to get to know them because I've never come across them before. And you don't have to do anything, because it's like if two people are looking for this duck with 4 heads, as soon as that duck is there, people are going to grab it. So you don't have to do anything apart from keep working on yourself, showing
100%.
up, raising your vibration. And when the universe thinks that your energy can't go any higher, maybe because there's not any lessons to learn up until this point because you've done the work, then maybe that person will show up.
I believe that. And then you can do the rest of your growing together. I don't think it means like you've reached the end of the lessons you need to learn. It's just you're aligned enough to do it together for a specific amount of time or for the rest of your lives. It's just going with the flow is so important, because we put our resistance to the universe is what causes us so much contrast. Like it's scary just how much we do it on a daily basis. And the thing is, when I really just take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and I'm not just frantic and in my massive, like, you know, like state of overwhelm that I find myself in 99% of the time. I'm working on that. I'm hoping that percentage lowers at some point in life soon, because it's a recipe for burnout. But the moment I take that step back, my God, I realize, like, oh, life can be so much easier. And it's just these tiny little tweaks that really help you to level up and be in a state of joy and peace far more often than the old version of you was in. And you're still in the same shitty situation. Your circumstances haven't changed. But when it's that quote, isn't it? When you look at the world around you differently, the world around you becomes different. Or when you change the way you see the world around you changes. I believe that so much. But like we all do, we all revert to our default, which is quite often like, you know, being a bit of a negative Nancy. And you forget actually how it all works. You forget about how you're co-creating every single second of every single day, and that whatever you're vibrating is going to come back to you tenfold. So you better raise your vibrations. Sometimes you're just in a funk and you forget. And I think in those moments, I'm going off topic now, but I think in those moments, it's really important to have a toolkit, because when I get into a state of overwhelm, my brain isn't, I'm asking my brain, I'm like, brain, tell me what to do. I don't want to feel like this. Tell me the things, tell me the steps I need to do to get out of this feeling of overwhelm. And my brain's like, nah, I'm not playing ball. You just do you, carry on feeling like shit. Just feel worse. Just get worse. And then in that moment, I have a list. I now have a list of things that I can literally refer to when my brain isn't working and I need to just go to the next best feeling thought, you know, like I know that you're a fan of Abraham Hicks as well, but like it, I think it's so important for everyone to have that toolkit, and it will be personalized to them. It will be like, what will work for you? What will help you to get to that next best feeling thought? Sometimes I'm going to call my version of your, like, I know Nico is one of your best mates, and you're on the same sort of level. So you might give him a call when you're feeling in a certain way, like, look, dude, just talk this out with me. And you know, you'll be 5 minutes on the phone with him, and that soul connection will give you so much life that suddenly you've gone from being completely drained to completely energized in the space of 5 minutes. But if you didn't make that phone call, you'd be in that state for another 5 hours. So I've got friends like that I can just call on in that moment. That's one thing on my toolkit. But I've got so many things that I can turn to now. And I think it's just important for every single person to write down a list that's easily accessible for when your brain isn't engaging, that you can just refer to when you haven't got the capacity to do any thinking or understanding or any reasonable thought, and have it on your phone, put it in your wallet, whatever you need to do, but have that list available at all times. Because life is a trip. You don't know at any given moment in life when it's going to throw you a curveball. And you know, I've had a really difficult few years. So mine's just felt like curveball after curveball after curveball. And I know that it's because it's part of my growing on this planet. I need to learn these lessons. I'm here to learn these lessons. And I'm here to actually understand that I'm not that weak version of myself. I had a story and I had a narrative, and I believed that I was so weak because, you know, I cry a lot, you know, emotional dysregulation. It's what us ADHDers do. And I saw that as a weakness. And I'm like, shit, my crying is my superpower. Like, if I didn't cry, I wouldn't have that release. And if I didn't have that release, I'd be like everyone else, like with all these pent up emotions that are coming out in other ways. So I don't know. I've gone off topic. I don't know where I was going with it, but just get yourself a toolkit, anyone that hasn't got one.
Well, that's great advice there. Have a set of things that you can go to when you get into that headspace. So I call it, everyone needs one thing that they do to get up and have a shower for. So that could be going to the spa and meditating. It could be just going for a walk. It could be dropping around the neighbor's house and giving them some milk. You all need one thing to get you out of bed for, and then the day unfolds from that. So you see a neighbor on the way back and they say, we're having a barbecue tonight. And so now, because you dropped off the milk to Doris, you're now going for a barbecue. So having that list of things to do when your head is in a mess will balance out everything in that moment. So on that topic, right, we're going to end it. Anything you want to promote or plug?
Absolutely not. I've got nothing to offer.
Okay. And if you had one day left to live on the planet, what's the one thing that you would tell the rest of the world?
Go have fun. Just enjoy. Follow your joy. Follow the real joy, not the escapist joy. Keep following it. It never takes you down the wrong path if it's the real deal.
So follow the thing that gives you the most excitement in every given moment.
I try. It's really hard for me to do that because I feel like I'm living in a lot of contrast at the moment that I'm trying to figure out. But it's what brings me back a lot of the time, is when I come back to myself and I'm like, okay, what is it that I need? What is it that I need to feel more joy right now? And often it's just putting on a song and singing, like, and then that will lead to the next thing. So it's the whole, that's my toolkit. I have a list of 5 million things that are so basic, but they bloody work.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.